Hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to ABS Joining You. Of course, I am Chris Anu from the great state of Texas, precisely Houston, Texas. Alas, Paul Biya is not dead. He is alive. Paul Biya is alive. And he finally did what everybody had expected he was going to do. Not today, but probably over a month ago from today. But finally, he appeared. And the allegations and reports and rumors of his death can now be formally laid to rest. But then, what are the implications? What are the consequences of such lackluster handling of information from a country that's supposed to be that's supposed to be demonstrating responsible leadership? That is the subject of tonight's talking point and the main subject of our discussion tonight. But not only that, last week, the Cameroon court promised the release of some 32 Amazonian detainees picked up 7 years ago from Nigeria and put in Kondenge. Today is Monday, and as of this moment, I am told they are still in detention. These stories and perhaps more in this edition of News Talk. Please, please stay put. All right, ladies and gentlemen, yes, you are looking there at the arrival of Paul Biya's plane touching down at Isimalin Airport in Yaoundé early today between the hours of 5 and 6 p.m. Amazonian time, or call it Cameroon time or West African time. He is alive. That can be confirmed with exactly what we had requested when we first broke out the story that the man was dead. But this is a subject to be handled on a different occasion. But today we are going to talk about the ramifications of his still alive and returning to the country. So please, again, thank you for tuning in. Good evening for those of you tuning in from Africa, all of continental Africa, the USA, Europe, the Far and the Near East, South America, Canada, wherever you happen to be watching from. Thank you for tuning in. If you are watching by way of the social media, Facebook or YouTube, please do me the favor. Go ahead and hit your share button. Let others know the anchor man is live. All right, please do that. And I will be right back with the stories that we have for you today. Of course, I will open the phone lines tonight as usual to take your phone calls after my panel has finished doing justice to the subjects of the day. Stay put. Thank you again for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. I will take you first to Kondenge. Kondenge in Yaoundé, La République du Cameroon, where some 32 Amazonian detainees picked up since 7 years ago were announced by the appeal court in Yaoundé as released. That was, I believe, for last Thursday or Friday. We were told that they will formally be let go today, but at the end of the day, in Cameroon, as of this moment, those 32 detainees, prisoners, are still behind bars. What is causing the delay of their release remains unknown. It remains unknown. But that is a subject that I bring to you at this moment, and from there I will take you to the story of Paul Biya's return to La République du Cameroon. So again, these refugees were picked up in Nigeria, 37 in number, 7 years ago. They were announced released by the courts of Cameroon last week, and by this time we thought they should be all out of detention. But alas, as per coming to you tonight, just a few minutes ago, we were able to confirm that none of them has been released. They are all still in detention. We don't know what is holding them behind. The court, we are told, hasn't given them the papers to go home. In a normal situation, when the court says you are released, you leave the jail and you go home. You go straight home. But in this case, whatever bureaucracy is still playing out after the court's decision, it is left to be found out. But let me speak to a comrade here who has been communicating regularly with the detainees in this detention center in Yaoundé, joining me from Ground Zero. Hello, sir.
Good evening, Comrade Chris.
Good evening, sir. Good to hear your voice again. I hope you are doing well out there.
I'm doing okay so far, especially with the expected news from Konengi, and with the hope, I think that should give me enough reason to do better.
Absolutely. But tell me, this announcement was announced last week by the appeal court. But as of today, everybody thought by 10 a.m. today they should be out of detention and back to their respective families. But it's over 8 p.m. On the ground there, and they are all still behind bars. What are you learning?
I think this looks like a normal phenomenon, especially when it concerns most African courts where the judiciary probably may not have full control and power to take decisions on their own. You will notice, first of all, those who are even released, we have not even seen any official document with their names, the names of those who have been released. Only those who were in court knew those who were asked to be released, because I'm not going to use the word release because they have not yet been released.
Right.
I think the court ordered that they be released, and they were supposed to leave Konengi, as you rightly said, by today. But it looks like, I spoke to one of the inmates, and he said that if they are lucky for the papers to start, because there's usually a form of documentation that takes place and paperwork, probably even in the next 10 days, they might not even be sure that in the next 10 days, they might leave Konengi. But it should, like I said, it's a tradition in La Republique and some African countries. When I say some, I'm quoting the example of Nigeria, where you heard of Kano, of the Biafran leader too, where the court ordered that he is last year, and as we speak, we know he is still in jail.
Right.
So, you know of the Abuja ruling in, I think some years back, against the Naira 10, where the court ruled that they be released and sent back to Nigeria with compensations of millions. As we speak, they are still languishing in jail in Konengi.
Right.
So I think the issue with the judicial system and the legislative or whatever, or the executive, I think there is some kind of a bottleneck that when justice is served, there are some people probably who are behind to delay justice or to fight against the decisions of the court at times, and there's a lot of bottleneck, like I said. But whatever the case, you will notice from when Agbobala and Neba Fontem were released, you saw that these people did not just leave Konengi directly to their respective homes. There was a protocol where the government officials had to get involved and hand it over to the governor,
right?
What I usually call the dog governor.
Right.
And then, I'm thinking that maybe this may be also one of the reasons we are having this delay, that they want to get some government officials to want to get them involved, and at the same time, they always want to take credit of everything. But may it interest you that so far we have not had this official document that I'm saying concerning the terms of their release. But I spoke with one of the lawyers, and he said that we should note that these people have been serving their jail term for 7 years, and it is most likely that they must have served the sentence that was supposed to be given to them, and that is why they are ordering for their release.
But by the way, when you talked about the sentence, what sentence was given? I thought they were going to serve at least 30 years, right, by the military tribunal.
Yeah, that's because you are very right. 30 years by the military tribunal based on their cases found guilty. For example, you saw the other people have been judged, but these ones have never been judged. No judgment has been passed on them. And that's why when you talk about 32, I think from my conversation with one of the inmates, there were actually 30 of those from Taraba that were released. 2 are said to be other Ambazonians arrested or said abducted from the southern zone, and like we heard that they had already served their jail term, and that's why they were added to the list.
Right.
You also mentioned that there were 37 arrested from Taraba.
From Taraba,
correct,
yeah.
But 37 are those that were deported to La Republique. I think the number was actually 42 that were arrested. It looks like, I think 5, if you minus 42 from 37, that should be 5, right? Am I right?
Right, I think so.
Yeah. I think minus 37 from 45. That's 5. We are locked up in Abuja, just like the case of the Naira 10 that we talked about, Naira 10 today. But we know that there were about 12 of them, and some were not sent to Yaoundé. So this was also the case with the Taraba 37, but actually there were 42 that were taken from a village called Ngoroje in Sadauna local government in Taraba State. And these boys were mainly just playing football.
Right. And they were all rounded up, as you can see in the photo on the screen here. Now, apart from waiting for this documentation from the court, are the detainees telling you anything else that they may be expecting, other than those other than the documentation from the court?
No, the 3 I spoke with. The reason why I'm talking with some of them is because actually, out of these 37, about 25 are from my county in Bui.
How many?
So you can imagine. So
how many are from Bui? Did you say 25?
Yes, about 25 are from Bui.
Wow.
Then we have some from Donga, Mantum, Dengo, Getunja, and some of the counties around. But 25 are actually from Bui.
Okay.
These 37. So I talked with most of the family members as well. And there was a time, even we've been trying to see how we could give support to some of the family members, because some of them had kids. And, with the nature of our struggle, we tend to ignore the humanitarian part of this of this struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been in touch with some of the families, some that we supported some years back, and we ran out of support because of other responsibilities that you all know, the defense and refugee support and so on. So the reason why they told me that they are expecting, they probably want to see it before they say anything, it might take 10 days, is because they know what happened to some of the detainees that were allowed to go. I'm talking about, this is something that we also didn't know until when I was talking with them.
Okay.
It's about, they also, apart from the Taraba 37, we also had the Calabar 11. Right. Are you aware of that too?
Right. And there was a lady, if not 2 of them, in the Calabar arrest, correct?
Yes. And we are told that out of these, I just got this news also recently, I was not aware, out of this Calabar 11, I'm told that only about 3 or 4 are left, that the other 7 were already released. So right. This is the info we didn't get, and that's the procedure that it took the court. It took the court sometimes 10 days or even more for their papers to go through. That's what I'm suspecting, that it could be the reason.
I don't know, you may not have an answer to this, but do you think the decision from the court is an independent position or a political decision for the court to release these, to get these ones released?
Just like you started by stating that I may not have an answer to it, but we cannot deny the fact that there is chaos in La Republic, and we are aware of what's happening. And there might be a political undertone, probably to try to calm down the situation and show some kind of good faith as the elections are coming. It could be also because of the pressure from Nigeria.
Why would Nigeria be pressurizing them?
Because we've been to court in Nigeria. Sorry, not court. We've been at the National Assembly in about 4 sittings now.
Right.
Where hearing of their deportation has been taking place, or call it extradition. And it was not only about the Naira 10. It's been about, we're talking about Taraba 87, and we've been talking also about the Calabar 11. So, and the last sitting which we had in June, we were very close at coming to a compromise, but because of the sensitivity of the case, the chairman of at the hearing of the National Assembly had to plead with the legal team of Southern Cameroonians to be a little bit patient so they could handle some certain things behind doors.
So if that be the case, do we expect that Sisiko, Tafang, Etasang, Wilfred, and the rest should then be released too, maybe soon?
It could be, if that's what I'm saying, that maybe they are starting to show good faith, because you can see the case here, there are two different scenarios here. The first one is that the 37 Taraba, I don't think their sentences have been passed yet.
Okay.
But that of Nico and the other 9, I think they had already received their judgment.
Right, they had received their sentences.
Yeah. And that's the difference here, in that maybe they want to start in good faith and use this as a way to buy time also, because there is a lot of pressure, and the Nigerian government, they are still asking, because this was done under the Buhari regime, and I remember one of our lawyers stating very clearly that it is important that since the Buhari regime is the continuation of, the Tinubu regime is a continuation of Buhari regime, it is important that they clean their mess, because they do not understand what Siseko and the rest are doing in Cameroon.
All right, Comrade, we will get back to this subject as we get more developments. I know you will not be able to join me in the next segment of this show to comment on the arrival of Paul Biya, but I want you to just hold on there. I need to play a clip here. I don't know whether you are watching on television or just speaking to me directly, but I want to play a clip here. This clip's supposed to be that of the resurrection of Paul Biya. Take a look.
Lazare, lève-toi. Celui qui croit en moi, celui-là vivra.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's a very funny parody there, essentially describing Paul Biya as Lazarus raised from the dead, because I guess everybody thought he was dead, including us here at ABS. But Comrade, I know we are talking from Ground Zero. What is the atmosphere there on Ground Zero like with the return of Paul Biya alive tonight?
Before I comment on the atmosphere, I think we had a conversation on the day when you were to go on air to talk about this.
Yeah.
About Paul Biya. And I remember I made a comment to you that it would have been better to wait, because, if you understand Cameroon politics, you will know that each time when they want to stay longer in power or they want to have a campaign, they come up with something. And that is why I told you that Biya's death cannot be mere speculation, because his death will be breaking news. Even the mainstream international media will broadcast it. But talking about the atmosphere, one thing we need to understand is that the problem in Cameroon is not about Biya dying. The problem is that Cameroon is not even ruled by him because he is incapacitated.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know that, and there is no doubt about it. And being incapacitated is as good as dead. So
So you think what happened
people,
at? So you think what we saw at the airport in Yaoundé was all for the cameras? He was going. He was going back to his incapacitation at the presidency.
to stand to stand and gesticulate is not enough. We have seen in instances where questions are being asked and he says, "Can I read my speech?" Because he cannot even answer. You saw it when the president of France, who is ruling Cameroon with Ferdinand Gongo, when he was in France, Manuel Macron. You saw that when a question was asked to President Biya, it was Macron that was interpreting the question to him to answer. You saw that in US, where he could not even recognize where he was. He was
Right.
asking, who are all these people? Why are they clapping for me? Am I a star? Is that what a president? He didn't even notice that he was in USA. He thought he was in presidency. So what happened at the airport was simply a drama that he came in, stood up, even ignored the prime minister who is supposed to be the person he should be talking
I am
to.
telling you,
And
that
only
was
talking to one
shocking
person
that he did not
he
shake hands. He did not shake
Yeah.
hands with the prime minister. He stood there with Ferdinand Ngongo and then got into his convoy
Because that
with
the
Ade.
person he knows who has his signature and who is ruling the country on his behalf. After that, you did not see him greet even that long line that used to do the convoy that used
Right,
to stand or
right.
whatever. He just went to his car and then he left. So, I mean, the truth is that people expected him to die in ground zero. Not even in ground zero. Even Cameroonians. Forget about those people you saw who got 2,000 to go and stand on the street and clap for his return. People are tired of him. And they know that whether you like it or not, once Biya bows, there is bound to be either a form of communication, dialogue, negotiation, or what people need. Cameroonians are tired and they need change. Ambazonians also will take advantage of the chaos to present their case.
Right.
So we are trying to say here is that even if he died, we were not ready. This is an opportunity that God has given to Ambazonians again to prepare in case of any eventuality in La Republic. People were disappointed, but this is some form of hope.
I have never seen people disappointed that someone is not dead, but that was the case today. Listen, comrade, good hearing from you. We'll stay in touch.
Thank you so much.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I will be right back with my talking point on the subject of Paul Biya's return to La République du Cameroun, precisely in Yaoundé. Stay put.
ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com. ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com. ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com.
talk has to do with the return of Paul Biya, final return of Paul Biya back into La République du Cameroon. For a time, he was gone for almost 2 months. Almost 2 months. Allegations, reports, even from ABS, had it that he was dead and all his succession was delaying the announcement, but today he showed up. He showed up. And this is my talking point, the subject of my talking point for today. After nearly 2 months of uncertainty, the president of La République du Cameroon, Paul Biya, has returned to the country, dispelling wildfire allegations surrounding his health whereabouts. His arrival at the Yaoundé Insimalin Airport today evening, Cameroon time, has seemingly put to rest weeks of speculation that had gripped the country and its political circles. As he disembarked from the aircraft, Paul Biya, 91 years old, cut a composed figure dressed in his signature dark suit. He stood firm on his own 2 legs on the tarmac for a few minutes, engaging in brief pleasantries with dignitaries and cronies of his, particularly Ferdinand Ngongo, before waving the assembled crowd from his motorcade. His moment on the tarmac, though short, was clearly orchestrated to show that he is indeed alive, well, and perhaps capable of carrying out his duties as the head of state. However, while the spectacle may have been aimed at portraying a sense of normalcy, a deeper analysis reveals troubling undertones to Biya's prolonged absence. The president's extended stay abroad, nearly 2 months with no official communication, raises critical questions about leadership responsibility, transparency, and the fundamental trust between the government and its people. While many may feel relieved that the Paul Biya health crisis appears resolved for now, it is necessary to consider the deeper ramifications of his unannounced prolonged stay overseas. His return, despite his outward display of strength, does not erase the irresponsibility of his conduct in a time of national crisis and conflict with Amazonia. Paul Biya, strong, yet silent Biya's return was meant to be an affirmation of his vitality following months of conjectures over his health. His decision to spend several minutes at the tarmac, engaging with a handful of officials and briefly addressing them, signaled that he was making a conscious effort to dispel doubts regarding his physical well-being. The gathering crowd of tribesmen and women, loyalists and supporters cheered his return, bolstered by his apparent composure and clear gestures of reassurance. The waving hand, the smile, and the relaxed demeanor as his convoy pulled away from the airport projected the image of a man still in control, at least they want us to believe. Yet, despite this outward demonstration of health, Cameroonians and the international community are left with a bitter taste. How is it that a sitting head of state can disappear from public life for weeks, leaving no formal explanation or plan of succession in place? The central question that needs to be addressed is not merely whether Paul Biya is fit to rule, but why his absence was so drawn out and shrouded in secrecy. For almost 2 months, ladies and gentlemen, Cameroon had no real visibility into its president's activities or condition. This level of opacity is irresponsible, particularly for a man who has been in power for over 4 decades. The age and fragility of Paul Biya were already subjects of intense national conversation before his most recent disappearance. But his government's inability or unwillingness to offer updates and coherent clarifications escalated the issue into a full-blown crisis of confidence. Paul Biya's prolonged stay abroad left the country effectively leaderless, at least from the public's vantage point. During this period, Cameroon continued to grapple with mounting domestic and international challenges, the bonds crumbling, including an intensifying Ambazonia conflict and rampant inflation and a deteriorating living conditions for many citizens. As these crises festered, the absence of Paul Biya, who is the ultimate decision maker on national policy and security issues, led many to question not just the health of the man, but the health of the very government he presides over. How could a nation facing such existential threats be expected to continue functioning when its leader was seemingly absent, with no coherent message on his condition or whereabouts? What message does this send to the Cameroonian people, if any, the military, and even potential adversaries? Mr. Biya's silence in the face of these questions was a grave misstep, signaling a lack of respect for the principles of good governance and accountability. It is no secret that Paul Biya's health, ladies and gentlemen, has been a topic of national discussion for years. At 91 years of age, his extended periods abroad for medical reasons have only intensified speculation that his health is in serious decline. For the past few months, many reports emerged that the president had experienced a significant health event. ABS even broke the news that he died. Some speculated that he was incapacitated, in a coma, and unable to function in his role as the leader of Cameroon. These rumors not only spread across Cameroonian communities, but also permeated diplomatic channels and the international media. It was not just Mr. Biya's age or occasional travel abroad that fueled these rumors, but the utter lack of transparency from his administration. For weeks, there were no press releases, no official briefings, no statement from key ministers or members of his inner circle to address Mr. Biya's absence or delay and fears. Such opacity not only weakened Biya's image, but also erode public confidence in the government's ability to handle a potential crisis. If indeed Paul Biya had been too ill to return to Cameroon, who would have stepped in? Why was there no plan of action, no visible continuity of leadership, or any sign that the government was capable of functioning without its long-standing ruler? These are questions that remain unanswered. And the president's return, Paul Biya's return, strong as he may appear, does not erase the damage done by the administration's refusal to be forthcoming with the truth. In the months of Paul Biya's absence, Cameroon's internal fissures have only grown deeper. The Ambazonia conflict continues to worsen with no end in sight. Despite several attempts at dialogue, the Cameroon government's hardline stance against Ambazonia remains, and violence has become a permanent feature of life in Ambazonia. This conflict alone demands constant attention and careful management from the highest levels of La République du Cameroon's government. Biya's return may calm immediate fears, but it does not. It does little to address the underlying problem. A country cannot and should not be run by a single individual. Leadership is about more than simple being present. It requires open communication, accountability, and a willingness to engage with the people, particularly in times of uncertainty. That is my talking point to you tonight. Now I am being joined by Dr. Ngwambe. Dr. Ngwambe is joining me from California, I believe Los Angeles. Good to have you, sir.
Yeah, greetings, Comrade Chris, and greetings, my fellow Ambazonians. Today is a very interesting day, and we have a lot to talk about. So we look forward to having this conversation with you. God bless the people of our beautiful homeland and our liberation forces.
Thank you. Thank you. I am also being joined by Oliver Asa coming in from the state of Ohio. Good to see you, sir.
Good afternoon, Comrade Chris.
Good afternoon. Let me start with you. What do you make of the much awaited Paul Biya's return to Cameroon, La République du Cameroon? What do you make of it? Everybody thought he was dead and gone.
Well, I must acknowledge that it took me very much by surprise, and it's like a resurrection, like you said in your talking points, and also he simply left the hospital and is back now in the rehab. So I don't know how much how much can recover in the rehab in the presidency in Yaoundé, because we know he's not been functional for years now. So, but the ramifications will be quite interesting, granting the rumors that had the speculation that had gone out because of his absence. 49 days of absence. Had he not tampered with the constitution before, it would have been vacancy after 45 days. And then I think this is going to be an opportunity for Ambazonians to seize this occasion and rise to the opportunity and rise to the occasion and close ranks, so that they can take advantage when the situation arises. Because if he had died indeed, will Ambazonians be ready to seize the opportunity? I don't think so. I think so. It's good news for Ambazonia.
Definitely it is. It buys time, but I do not know whether it doesn't also it also isn't an opportunity on their side to realize what had just happened, where people were questioning who is taking over. It gives them an opportunity to reorganize, isn't it, Dr. Ngwambe?
Yeah, that's very correct. All of us understand the games that La République du Cameroon plays, and especially the dictator Biya and the cartel that he has around him. We know the games that they play, and ultimately they're putting La République du Cameroon in danger by not having a succession plan that people can actually have confidence in. And I call it the hangman's noose of the destruction of La République du Cameroon is continuing to follow that country around, just because they do not want to take it seriously that dictator Biya is going to die. We all know the song by Petit Pays. I think he says, "Même le chef d'État meurt," meaning even the head of state dies. The fact that La République du Cameroon and the regime and all the hangers-on that are around them, the economic elites, the political elites of CPDM, those people who are standing on the road waiting to clap for him, the presidential guard, the brigade intervention rapide, the military, the fact that they're all acting as if Dictator Biya is not going to die, and they think that everything is normal. I don't get it. Him coming back as he's come back, it changes absolutely nothing. It changes absolutely nothing about what we Amazonians have to do, and it changes absolutely nothing about the failure that is following around La Republic du Cameroon when Dictator Biya eventually dies. And I know that's
From
something
the
we're
head
going
of
to
state who
dig
are
deeper
willing
on.
to see that president, and of course to reassure themselves that he's still in charge.
Well, sorry about that interjection there. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. It doesn't change anything as far as the Amazonian struggle is concerned. But let's look at the intrigues involved in his long stay abroad. He came home. He looked quite strong, standing on his own two legs, freely exchanging pleasantries with Ferdinand Ngongo, but also, I don't know whether I should use the word, avoiding the Prime Minister, Dion Ngute. Comrade Oliver, what do you make of that?
Well, number one, I think he is incapacitated, so he is not in all his full faculties. So, because of that, he forgets
Just to indicate to
protocol.
our viewers, if Back Major,
Uh,
that in the
and forgets everything else that he thinks he's supposed to do as protocol obtains. When a person is coming back, he gets to meet his cabinet. The first person to talk to in Cameroon will be the prime minister, and then now
Right.
if the Senate president was there, president of Congress, and then after those, then he can talk to his secretary general. That's how protocol is supposed to be.
Dr. Nwembe?
Looking at the fact that he didn't talk to any of these, the protocol that he was supposed to talk to there, I again go back to this problem that there's not a confident succession plan. French Cameroonese, you all need to look at the danger that you all are walking into. Dictator Biya, this year they say he's 91. Next year he'll be 92, and you all want him to run for re-election in that country. And we all know that the term of office is 7 years. That means that if Paul Biya is blessed to live up to that full 7 years, if he's blessed to live up to that full 7 years term, by the time the elections will be coming around again, he'll be 99 years old. And knowing how careless you all are, some of you will want that guy to run again for president of that country at 99 years old, knowing that he's going to die even after 99 years old, even knowing between 92 and 99, there's a high probability that he's going to die. What you all are supposed to be doing is you're supposed to be pressing on Chantal Biya, pressing on Frank Biya, pressing on the Betty Bulu flank cartel to start to work on a succession plan for that country. These people do not care about you. They don't care about you. They want that country to go into the grave with Dictator Biya. And you all need to stand up like Ambazonians have done and fix your country so that that country does not sink with this dictator that you're seeing on the screen. I mean, this is really unacceptable and is not understandable, not by anyone in this world who knows that anyone who is between that 92 years old to 99 range. I mean, you're on borrowed time. What was supposed to be done yesterday is supposed to be, you have been given another opportunity to do it now. I don't know why God loves Ambazonians. Well, let me say, I don't know why God loves La Republique du Cameroon so much that they keep giving them an opportunity to right their ship. I know why God loves us Ambazonians, because he wants us to have our independence, and we are working on making the adjustments that are necessary for the eventuality of Dictator Biya's death. But you all in French Cameroon, you are not taking this thing seriously, and the fact that you're going to let this guy come back, no questions asked, I don't get it. But it's going to be your fault, and you're going to get what you deserve the day that he dies, and you all have not fixed what needs to be done for a proper succession plan that is going to be respected by a majority of the people of your country.
If I may ask both of you, looking at the way that his absence was handled by different incoherent press statements coming from the communication minister, from the interior minister, Paul Atanganji, Fem Ndongo, civil cabinet guy, all in different styles, lack of incoherence. What do you think they will be thinking at this moment, Comrade Oliver?
Well, I don't know if they were well briefed of his situation because the way that BA functions with secrecy when it comes to, especially when he feels that his life is threatened, is just amongst his very close, like his wife and a few others around him. So apparently, they were not very brief as to his health situation, how bad it was, or how it wasn't bad, and all of that. So they were probably taking their own initiatives to kind of. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, to kind of cover up whatever they could. But going to the point of Dr. Ngwambe, I think in La République, there's a very serious problem because during this time of the absence of Paul Biya, the very fact that we did not see any debate going on with the political parties is very, very interesting. That the political parties don't seem to have now closed their rounds or at least come out to make press releases and start a dialogue of succession. So that is a very big problem. But I differ with Dr. Ngwambe when he was talking of Chantal Biya and Frank Biya trying to hash out a plan as if he was suggesting that it's a dynasty. So it is Paul Biya has the Cameroon does have a constitution which actually stipulates that in the case of vacancy for whether it's sickness, incapacitation, death, or whatever, usually it will be the president of the Senate that will take office and organize elections from within 20 to 120 days. And he cannot be a candidate to those elections. He cannot modify the constitution. He cannot change the government. And if he were to change a government, he will have to consult the Constitutional Council. That's what the Constitution says. Now, the president of the Senate, who is Nyan Jifenji, is very old, incapacitated like Paul Biya himself. So if Paul Biya were not to be there, he cannot even be the successor. The next one is his name eludes my memory.
Yeah,
He's from
Abdullah,
Abdullah from the north.
Abubakar Abdullah.
That's right, Abubakar Abdullah from the north. Then the third one is Tabitando. So in that order, so they are looking at the geopolitical situation of Cameroon and counting on the history of the leaving of Ahiju out of and then handing over to Paul Biya, where the understanding was that after that, after the South, power will be going back to the North. So the people from the three northern provinces have been waiting for that occasion. So that does put, since the Beti Bulu people want to have confiscated power and want to keep it forever, that becomes an issue, letting Abdullah to take over and conduct elections, even though he might not stand as a candidate to those elections. But when you are president, you assume all the functions of the president. And there's a lot that you can do within those 120 days. Now, the division in the Bulu Beti camp is another advantage that could come to that of the Northerners. In that case, the three camps essentially being the Frank Biya, Ferdinand Ngongo, and Paul Motaze. Those three camps are still alive. And I don't know whether the camp of Ngongo and Frank Biya has close rounds or not. But with that division, it gives that possibility that the North could come back to power. And I see them coming into alliance with the West. And that is, so far, that is what I will be thinking right now.
Now you look at that headline on your screen is La République du Cameroun curse with Paul Biya when it was first alleged that Biya had died. People were so elated, a lot of jubilations up to today. I mean, right now as we are live, some people still do not believe that the man that we saw at the airport is really Biya. Some people still think he is dead and should be dead. I even heard some Nigerians saying, "Oh, I wish God will bring to Nigeria, God will give us Nigerians the God of Cameroon who has taken away Paul Biya." But Paul Biya suddenly reappear, and people are like, "Why does God keep what have Cameroonians done to deserve this man for so long?" That's a question that is out there. What would you say, Dr. Ngwembe? I start with you.
Yeah, so Comrade Chris and my fellow Ambazonians and everyone that's watching this program, look, it is very clear to me that Dictator Biya is a big student of Machiavelli, because these are all Machiavellian techniques that they use, possibly to shake the tree to see which potential figures within CPDM may be having the hopes of getting to that throne. To me, sometimes it seems as if they're playing this game to shake that tree, see who falls out of it, and then they pick them up and go put them in a Konigi. But at the end of the day, all the every just about every other year, La Republique du Cameroon goes through this issue where they're not sure about Dictator B. And what is it telling you? It's telling you that people are not confident about the constitution that defines what is supposed to happen in case of the death or the incapacitation of Dictator Biya. And because there's that lack of confidence in the process that's going to bring in a new leader, you're going to see all this particular turmoil. You're going to be seeing all these techniques by people like Atanganji or whoever's going to be the next Minister of Territorial Administration to shut down people discussing it, shutting down the media, threatening people that you're going to grind them and all that kind of funny stuff. All this is being done because the political apparatus that is in place does not trust the process. And that's really sad. And the main reason why I brought up Dictator Biya's wife, Chantal, and his firstborn son is that sometimes in our families, your loved ones are like advisors to you. I know, like with us in Bafut, according to Bafut tradition, your firstborn son is like a brother to you, and he can advise you. So Frank Biya, being the firstborn son of Dictator Biya, he can advise his dad. Chantal Biya, being his wife, she can also provide good advice to him that, look, now while you still have the energy, find a way to make sure that a peaceful transition occurs, because it is guaranteed that between 92 years and 99 years, there's a high probability that Dictator Biya is not going to complete his 7-year term if he stands again for this election. So since we already know the dangers that are imminent in the event that he dies, and we're seeing the dangers that are at play now with how they're covering it up, he should instead be trying to find a way to oversee a process in the CPDM where there is a peaceful selection of the next standard bearer for CPDM. And then the opposition parties, you all are seeing what's going on now in La Republique du Cameroon. You all need to get your act together so that you can properly compete against who the CPDM ends up picking. That's what's supposed to be happening inside La Republique du Cameroon. Now, this thing that these guys keep thinking that this guy is going to live these next 7 years, and granted, he's been proving us wrong and, about his death over and over again. Maybe he might live in even more, but the point is that même le chef est un meurt. He's going to die. That doesn't change. It doesn't change. He's going to die. And even if you all don't have a process put in place to choose a successor, all this angst is going to continue to grow and grow and grow. And when it finally happens, you'll be to blame for failing to plan. And that's what they should be avoiding, if you ask me.
Oliver, what is your take on whether Cameroonians are cursed with Paul Biya?
Yeah, number one, God does not allow bad people to die quick. The reason is that God always allows them to live long enough so that they can suffer the consequences of their actions and probably have an opportunity to atone for their sins before they die. That is point number one for what concerns that. And when God is working in that way, God forgets about the rest of the people for a minute. Now, when we're talking about Paul Biya, 1994, he gave Cameroonians 20 years when he went and stayed abroad and for over 30 days, and they thought he was dead. And when he came back to Cameroon, he said he's giving Cameroon a rendezvous in 20 years. So 2024 is 20 years exactly. So if we are going by his own prophecy, this year will not run out without Paul Biya dying. So that is a possibility. Now, if I let me piggyback a little bit of Dr. Ngwambe's take on advice from Chantal Biya and Frank Biya to now try to advise your father to look for a succession plan. That will you would think that would be the right thing to do to people who are open-minded and people who are patriots who care about the country, but that is not the case. Frank Bier is power hungry and wants to succeed his father. He thinks that it's a dynasty, so he wants to succeed him. So why do you think he will be advising his father to look for someone else, whereas he himself wants to succeed him? Then, with regards to Chantal Bier too is interested in in being in power. In fact, the reason why you have Ngongo in a different camp and Frank Bier in a different camp is because Chantal Bier and Ngongo are in one camp. Are in one camp, and actually, Chantal Bier does not support the idea of Trump becoming president. He rather wants Ngongo to become president. So if Ngongo becomes president, she will still stay right there at the Unity Palace. That is a top secret that has been in place, and that's why you have Chantal Biya and Ngongo in two different camps. Now, so the looking at the whole situation, the whole imbroglio, you see that Cameroon is going to be in a very tumultuous position when Paul year passes. And with the risk of Cameroon slipping into hands of the military, because when you bring France into the that as a piece of the puzzle and a very big piece of the puzzle, so to speak, you see that France is protecting their interests in Central Africa. We have all seen what has happened in the Sahel, and then France has lost grip there, and is losing grip in West Africa, starting with Senegal, and in the Central Africa region, Cameroon is the pillar of the French influence in the whole region. If Cameroon slips out of the hands of France, likelihood is that the other five countries are going to slip eventually. So France will want to do everything to do that. And what really baffles me is that if you look at the opposition leaders in Cameroon, nobody ever talks about trying to abrogate the pact for the continuation of colonization that was imposed by France on the former colonies when they were given independence back in the 60s. So the pact for the continuation of colonialism stipulated so many things that France is still actually the one leading. For example, whether the education system, they determine how it will look like, military intervention, things like keeping, it was 80% of the money in reserve in France. I think it's gone down to 50% now. And now France being the first right of refusal, meaning that if of any national resources in this former colonies, France will have to be the one to exploit them, or if they have to carry out any contracts, unless France says they don't want it, then any other international person could bid for that. Those are just a few things that France imposed on that. So there's no leader that can actually come to Cameroon and do anything effective without having to abrogate that pact, so that begins now to disintegrate the power that France has over Cameroon. And you see what is happening in the Sahel. You look at starting with Burkina Faso, which is actually, I would call them the king of the Sahel, what Ibrahim Traore is doing, but abrogating all of the influence that France had there, and followed by Mali and then Niger and so on. Unless it happens, because if you abrogate that pact, and now begins to give Cameroon the opportunity to take control of certain things. The education system in Cameroon is terrible. They are still doing things that are really cannot serve the interests of people being business oriented and being able to really survive as a country, because they are still following the archaic educational system that was put by France. Even France has gone away from that, but France is still following that thing, which is not helping Cameroon in any way.
One more angle to this story, I think we all observe the complete absence, or call it silence, of the opposition in Cameroon. We heard nothing from them basically. We only heard the movements within the inner circles of the CPDM, who was going to take over power, who was being consulted. We heard nothing about the opposition. What do you think that the opposition in Cameroon would be thinking at this moment? Feel like they are not relevant. They couldn't rally themselves, neither were they consulted in anything.
Well, I mean, we saw the other day. I think that some opposition parties came together and they selected Barrister Akere Muna as their leading political candidate. And I know one of the things that he has proposed is a kind of like a constitutional conference to reform the constitution. We've seen SDF dodging opportunities for collaboration and unity with other movements, which is their École Normale. We've seen them do that. So
there has been a very inherent attitude of the SDF to avoid collaboration from day number one with Chairman John Frundi.
Yep. And the sad thing is that you see when, and I know this is a digression in my thought about that, but you see when they do that, then they say that the reason why they're doing that because the Francophone parties will come and dominate them. But you have to ask SDF and John Frundi. You're the one who chose to continue to fight to remain with La République du Cameroun. You're always going to be dominated by La République du Cameroun parties because they're the majority. So what do you want? But I digress. So either way, the opposition parties, I mean, in a way, they need to recognize that all of these things that the Biya's regime is doing is because they are afraid of the power of the people. Dictatorships, autocracies, kleptocracies rely on the population, cloaking this veneer of fear in the population so that the population does not stand up. And you see that the reason why they're playing all these cloak and dagger things, you saw, my brothers, you all saw the different fake videos that were, well, let me not call them fake, but videos of Paul Biya where he had made visits in the past were being flushed into the social media as a way to prove that he was still alive. There's a reason why they do that. They do that because they know that if the people of La République du Cameroun, if their eyes are opened, they will stand up and they will flush Dictator Biya's regime down the toilet. So it's up to the opposition parties in La République du Cameroun, people, the regular La République du Cameroun civilians who love their country. It's up to them to realize that the game is over for Dictator Biya. The game don't finish. And when I don't realize that the game don't finish for Dictator Biya, you all will do what is necessary to remove him, go through the constitutional conference that our sister Kawala has actually spoken about many, many times, mind you, and you fix your country and leave Ambazonia to go about its business because we don't even really care what's going on with you all. Everything that's going on, we're observing it and we're seeing and we're making our own plans. You all should be making the necessary adjustments to be able to survive when Dictator Biya dies, because if you don't, you all risk going the way of Somalia, where the country's going to fall apart. And if that's what you want, then so be it.
Talking about Akere Mona, what do you think of the chances of him becoming the president of La République du Cameroon, Comrade Oliver? As you heard from Dr. Ngwambe, a group of opposition leaders have picked him or nominated him for their collective candidate. Do you see any chances for him?
Well, that looks a little complicated. Number one, he's probably trying to build from his father's legacy. That his father, St. Mona, was a loyal person to Aisho and then to Paul Biya. So he's trying to tap into that. That notwithstanding, what matters in Cameroon is actually when political parties closing ranks. Like Dr. Ngwambe just mentioned about the SDF, they are always staying away. They never want to be part of any coalition, which is a big problem. And so if the as many political parties that they come together and not just as many, but the major ones, and that's why SDF still remains a political party that ought to join. That is going to garner some force, and that cohesion can be able to enable whoever is a leader, like Keremona, for instance, to be able to win elections in Cameroon that and get number one, number two, get accepted to actually that they won elections and actually sworn it as president. Because we know Frony won elections in 1992, an election that I risked my life in those elections, particularly. He won that, and Paul Biya, he turned at that time was the Supreme Court, and took and still won the power. Would appear Kamto did as well. So in the recent election that just passed about 7 years ago. Now, if the people of La Republic really need to stand up. It takes a revolution in La Republique to make a change. And in order for that to happen, the political parties must be able to have the population behind them. They should be able to touch the hearts and minds of the people. And that goes through education. Educating the people what their rights are and what their role is to make sure that they can effect a revolutionary change in Cameroon, in the Republic. So if they can do that, like remember the uprisings that we had in Cameroon in the days of the political parties in the 90s. In the 90s, they were at that time the SDF was very powerful. They Douala Yaoundé and Bafusa and so on used to rise everybody out in the streets. So if you can be the opposition can be able to educate people, sensitize them, and bring them to that kind of uprising, that will be able to happen in the sense that if the elections comes and they win, they would the rigging machinery of Paul Biya will not succeed, because if there's that kind of uprising, there's no way that consistent and persistent such that nothing stops them. They stay out there. They will be able to make that change. But there's a possibility that Keremona could win elections. Yes, but
So
winning is
you
one thing.
truly think that Francophones would vote for President Keremona?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He could win elections, but getting accepted that's what I wanted to say. Winning is one thing, and getting accepted.
Well, if he
and
wins,
actually-
if he
Yeah.
wins, it means he's accepted, isn't it?
no, well, I mean accepted by the Cameroonian government, not necessarily the people. Because if you were to go far deep into La Republique, they will be able to accept someone like Keremona to be president. Yes, the population will be able to accept. The people that perpetrate hate and this kind of segregation to the core are actually the inner circle, the people that surround Biya. Because you will realize, and I know you know this, that some of the fiercest critics of Paul Biya and his government are the Bulu and Beti people. Some of they are, why? Because they understand where they are in the Sadina and other ones media. They understand that Paul Biya has caused generalized suffering for Cameroonians for 42 years. So it's not just a question of Ambazonia, but the Francophone themselves, even the Beti Bulu people themselves, the population know that Paul Biya has not served the interest. Because if you go to the roads in the south where he comes from are equally as bad. So there's nothing that he has actually done that has benefited even the Beti Bulu. It's only a few elites where he put in power and those that he gave contracts to that were able to siphon money. And you cannot really see what they have done economically. Because remember back in the days of Ahiju, the Bamilikes and the Northeast dominated the economic sphere in Cameroon. Why? Because Ahiju empowered the Northeast into business, and they were able to utilize that, and they were industrious to create factories, to create companies. They were entrepreneurial. But the problem with the Beti Bulu is that these are people who are just chop broke pot, as I say, because they are not entrepreneurial. They don't think of tomorrow. So otherwise, in these 42 years, the Beti Bulu have risen actually to the occasion and be very involved in business nowadays. That's where the problem is. So it's a generalized suffering, not just for Amazonians, but it is for all the people of the Republic as well. So that is why if that change can happen.
All right, comrades, we are also being joined from Maryland by Kennedy Ejacha. Kennedy Ejacha is a strong advocate or proponent of the ruling party, the Cameroon People's is it Development Party or Democracy Party, either of which doesn't really hold because we haven't seen development, we haven't seen democracy either. Comrade Kennedy, I'll call you a comrade. I hope I'm right. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you, Mr. Chairman, please. But I mean, I don't know if you just came out from space or from outer space to identify me as a proponent of the ruling CPDM or whatever. I mean, I've never been insulted this much as I've been insulted today.
Are you serious?
Because, yeah, I mean, it's an egregious insult, and I would please want you to apologize for that. To be honest with you,
all right.
Yeah, I really want to receive your apology if you can identify me with the CPDM because it's something that I take very serious. You know, I mean, I've been on this your platform on several occasions, and my points have been crystal clear. And I don't know, I've made it clear to you and to whoever that if you have
hold on there. Before I withdraw the statement, you were at the Grand National Dialogue on under what capacity? I thought you were there as a member or member of the CPDM. Or am I wrong? Am I wrong too?
No, you're absolutely wrong because late Cardinal Tumi who was there wasn't from the CPDM. And Dr. Munzo was there, wasn't from the CPDM.
No, I know, of course, not everybody was there representing the CPDM. There was the SDF and other groupings that were there. So maybe I am wrong, but I apologize and I withdraw the statement. So can I now call you an Amazonian?
Call me a Cameroonian.
All right, I'll call you a Cameroonian. So I'm not far from the point. I'm not far from the point anyway, right?
No, you're extremely far from the point because, you know, I'm a Cameroon. The CPM does not own Cameroon, and that's where the big problem is. It's just like, okay, let's say, let's give it to Amazon.
They've had it under control forever.
I mean, that's one of my problems that I have with Ambazonian because it's like almost everybody that is Ambazonia just stopped from being CPDM in 2016 to become against anti-CPDM, because if that's what you're saying, it means all of you were CPDM.
That is with my exception, because I have never militated with the CPDM. I would say I was a strong supporter of the SDF from the beginning, but never, ever of the CPDM. But let's get back to the subject of the day, which is
that's right. Just to say, that's where you make my point. You, before even those that are Ambazonian today, before, they were all Cameroonians, but they were not CPDM. So you have left some Cameroonians who still are not CPDM. It's not all Cameroonians who are not CPDM who have become Ambazonia. But the worst thing that can ever happen to me is that I be identified with CPDM. I mean, but I received your apology. Thank you for presenting your apology. I'm not CPDM, never will, not in my dream. Maybe in a nightmare. And if there's a nightmare that's occurring as such, I would really be happy that my wife wakes me up before the nightmare completes itself with me being in the CPDM.
All right. Let's get back now to the subject of the day, which is the return of Paul Biya to Cameroon after it was all reported. I mean, we broke the news here actually that he was dead. Again, I'm going to handle this on a very separate occasion, but today we'll talk about his return and the ramifications behind that. For almost 2 months, 49 days precisely alone, he was gone. Not even his ministers knew where he was. The country did not know where he was. It was said even from within his cabinet circles that he was incapacitated. The only thing is, I cannot name sources here. The sources will reach on the ground and in Europe. I mean, if I tell you the things that I know, people who reach out to us, you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised, which is what our report was based on. From even the cabinet in Yaoundé, they said he was incapacitated. But suddenly he appears, he's standing on his two legs, he looks strong, he is having pleasantries on the tarmac with his Ferdinand Ngongo, ignoring his own prime minister, no handshake, nothing. He waves at the population standing there, and he drives away to Unity Palace. Now, for 49 days, there was a vacancy, and there was a talk of succession. Others started talking about a military coup. In fact, a military personnel who leads a military unit in La République du Cameroon sent me text messages of information coming from military hierarchy telling them to begin to prepare their units and to get ready to defend the colors, as they were told. So he created this situation where you will now begin to imagine what is going to happen with him arriving Yaoundé within that government, right?
Yes, I mean, Comrade Chris, Chairman Chris, Biya is a very cynical person. And what we just experienced, it's not the first episode of a similar, gimmickry. Biya has been Biya and the system, because what happened, what transpires, goes even beyond Biya's intelligence. Because if we want to attribute this fake vacancy to Biya, it's like we will be giving Biya some credit as if he is mentally right at this stage. No, Biya is a puppet that's being used by a regime. Now, what the system is doing is that they are preparing the minds of Cameroonians to the point where when Biya would effectively die, they can keep governing that country for 2 years and people will still believe that Biya is alive. That's exactly the psychological framing that is taking place right now. About 2 years ago, they did the same thing. And I can understand what happened with you, because I also received calls previously. I received calls from people that I know to be henchmen of the regime. But I was lucky that I had to cross-vet the call. And that's when I realized, and anybody who's following me on my social media pages would know that I always forewarn people that no, Biya is not dead. Because I'll give you an index. When Biya will die, if you wake up one day and hear that, a certain general has died in a motor accident, you hear that about 4 or 5 ministers died mysteriously. When you hear that, that's when you would know that Biya is dead. Because now there's a dichotomy in the system. There are factions fighting each other. The first group that would have the actual news of Mr. Biya will go hunting the others. So when you see real chaos in Cameroon, be there assured that Biya is gone. But when the scenario that was happening, I saw Gongo was there, I saw Ayolo, I saw all those protagonists, they were all there. At that point, I knew that no, Biya is not dead. And Biya does not need to be alive to be in his full capacity to rule Cameroon. That's somebody that has been incapacitated for, let's say, the very best. A conservative way of saying it is that since 2018, Biya has been incapacitated. And I'll give you a clear indication of his capacitation. Biya's best spot or best game is cabinet reshufflement. Can you tell me the last time Biya reshuffled his cabinet? That's something that Biya so much enjoyed doing. It was like sports for him. Every 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, 2 years. But since 2018, Biya has not been able to reshuffle his cabinet with all the scandals. He has put in hand. He's in control of nothing in that nation. So I just want to think that Cameroonians, whatever the situation, are becoming aware of the fact that Cameroon is not, autopilot is even giving credit. Cameroon is about to have its biggest bang. I mean, in a big bang. It's about to happen in Cameroon. And I don't want to be a prophet of doom, but that's the reality. And who are those behind this? The very Western world that we seem to want to celebrate as good example. Because when Biya is in Europe, he's under the cover of all these Western nations. His protection, Biya's protection in Cameroon is not handled by Cameroonians. We know his presidential guard. We know those who are giving intelligence to the B, that's his battalion d'intervention rapide. So we know all of that, and that's why I always tell the West that Biya is in connivance with the West against the people of Cameroon. Because if it was not Biya's weaponized, if it was not the West weaponization of Paul Biya, he would be ejected far on. Well, what can a 92 years old man do? For real. Biya is not strong. It's just that we are too weak to have him, to have somebody like Biya continue to do what he's doing in Cameroon.
You are right there. What do you make of the fact that, again, he arrives and won't shake the Prime Minister's hands? This is somebody who was left behind as the number one, representing him, running the government. He comes in, no handshake, nothing.
That's a clear indication of the fact that Biya is already senile, because that Prime Minister was appointed by him. He should have respected his own Prime Minister. So Biya did not even, he's having some cognitive issues, advanced cognitive issues at this point. I mean, let's analyze it. Let's be truthful. He came, probably did not even recognize that the Prime Minister is somebody. And then he went on his business as usual. Because if there is something that I'll tell you, Biya hates Anglophones more than anything else. And I'll say Cameroonians from the Northwest and Southwest region, Biya hates them to the core. He hates them. And that's why you see Aijo was even better off, because Aijo would give the vice position in most of those strategic entities in Cameroon. But when you look at Biya, it is very in rare occasion that you even see somebody from the Northwest or Southwest who is taken in command. You would see, let's take like the state protocol right now. If I line up the state protocol, the president is a francophone. The president of the Senate, francophone. The first vice president of the Senate, francophone. President of the National Assembly, francophone. The first vice president of the National Assembly, francophone.
Kennedy, sir, I'm sure you know we know all of that. The question I will ask you, as I ask every federalist, is you enumerated all of this and you stated it accurately that they hate Anglophones. So you guys know all of this, and why do you continue to advocate for one and indivisible Cameroon? I don't care in what form, whether federation, confederation, whatever. You guys know all of this. Those guys cannot be trusted. You give even if you get your federation, they will still treat you as second-class citizens. So why do you guys continue to advocate for one Cameroon in spite of this knowledge you guys are aware of?
No, and that's where there's a nuance between the Federalists and the Ambazonians.
I think it's more than a nuance, though.
No, it's not more than a nuance. The nuance is that I am saying that Biya hates Anglophone. I'm not saying that Francophones hate Anglophones.
Come on, how would you even say that? Hold on there. I will allow you to answer. when you say you can't say Francophones hate Anglophones, this war has been going on for 8 years and counting. How many Francophones have you seen on the streets of Yaoundé, Douala, Bafoussam, demonstrating and saying you cannot treat our brothers that way, stop the war? How many times have you seen it? Not once. So why do you think Francophones are better?
No, I see Francophones demonstrating in Europe, demonstrating even in Washington.
They are demonstrating against Paul Biya. They are not demonstrating against the war.
No, they've demonstrated against the war, Common Chris.
They are demonstrating against the dictatorship. They want Biya to leave. They want Kamto. They want Cabri, Libi, and all those guys. They don't want. They're not asking them to end the war. No, it's not about their love for Amazonia or for the Southern Cameroons or for the so-called brothers. They just want the dictatorship to be over.
No, a lot of a whole lot of Francophone love us Anglophones, and even some of them even they even consider them to be even more radical than myself. If you know a certain Esomba Dieudonné, I know
Dieudonné Esomba, yes.
Yes.
But then, assuming, giving it to you that so many Francophones out there love Anglophones, the question is, how does it make our situation better? Is there anything we will take from them if we remain with them and they are nice?
Yes, and the biggest mistake that I thought that happened with this, because this revolution that we are having is not only an Ambazonian revolution. First of all, Ambazonia did not really start the revolution. In 2017, 2016, we started the revolution, but it went so far beyond us. So that's a conversation for another day. But this revolution that we started in 2016, 17, we would have undone Biya by now, because we were building a coalition of all Cameroonians, and in that coalition there was almost like a rainbow coalition where Francophones and Anglophones were seen together, that it was time to flush out the tyrannical regime that is in Yaoundé, the regime that recruits from among Cameroon.
I think that is a wrong premise. When we started this thing, the teachers union, lawyers union, the civil society organizations, when they started this in 2016, the Francophones were nowhere to be found. It was as usual, the Biafrans, the Anglophiles who are rising up again, they were nowhere to be found. The Francophones started rising up when Kamto lost the elections. Is it 2019? That was when they started being.
Kamto is another story. Kamto will be worse even. Kamto, there's no big difference when it comes to the Anglophone plight. There's no big difference between Kamto and Paul Biya. I'm sorry if it will hurt any person, because you would know right from the beginning, Kamto he didn't even stand for federalism. And Kamto is like, Kamto was trained in the Académie Française d'Outre-mer. And that's what people don't know. The Académie Française d'Outre-mer was instituted to train officials that would go and help France manage its colonies. Because when you even call Cameroon a republic, Cameroon is an autonomous French territory right up to this day. You and I know, because we've had that conversation, that Cameroon has never had an independence. And that's where I have, my differences with the Fonchas and Muna, because in 1961, they went and joined an autonomous territory, because Cameroon was an autonomous territory, not a republic. Until this day, Cameroon remains an autonomous territory with institutions in place like that, l'Académie Française d'Outre-mer, that trained Kamto. Go and look Kamto's CV. I'm talking about Kamto because you brought the issue up of, that the MRC could help us.
Yeah, but that doesn't cancel the fact that Francophones took to the street. That doesn't cancel the fact that Francophones took to the street to get him to power.
No, Francophones have supported us. Francophones are supporting us. It depends on what type of
and
Francophone.
a very small,
Yes,
insignificant minority.
no, the majority, if you put, no, Comrade Chris, in all fairness, politics aside, if you organize a referendum in Cameroon today, transparent referendum, and you put the Anglophone question there, Francophones would align with the Anglophone situation in their
I
majority.
know for sure some will do.
No, in their majority. It's only the henchmen of the regime. Just like you have some of our brothers who are like Atanganji. Atanganji is worse than 99% of Francophones. For Christ's sake. Atanganji is worse than 99% of Francophones when it comes to the Anglophone rights to self-determination, and my self-determination is within the ambit of a federal system of government. Atangaji is 99% worse than. So we cannot, if we say that Francophone hate us, it might be an insult to them, especially when most of them are better off like than the Atanganji, the Moja, the Peter Mafani Musonge. You know, I can name all those Anglophones who are posing, whining and dining with the system. So we should make a distinction between the people and the system, those who are benefiting from the system. And that's where I say it is of utmost interest for us to form a coalition with like-minded Francophones, rather than just castigating all the Francophones.
I do not disagree with you. I do not disagree with you at all. However, the coalition you talked about depends on what status. Is it on a referendum for Ambazonia? Great, we will accept that. Is it for one Cameroon, a federation? No, that's not what we've been fighting for the past 8 years.
I mean, that's where you and I will always be different. We'll always differ. Me and you, it's like you and I have decided that we'll never agree on that, because I still believe that we can have a one Cameroon as it is right now in a federal system where we would have all our institutions and well-reinforced institutions that we inherited from the colonial era. So I'm talking about things like our communal police, the House of the Chiefs, you know, have in terms of infrastructures, we can bring back our
now
airport
you
in
know
Chico.
that in the eyes and ears of La République du Cameroon, that tantamounts to separation, right? Because they have said that again and again. It's a separation when you begin to talk about having back your Southern Cameroon institutions or West Cameroon institution. It tantamounts to a cessation for La République. You know that.
No, it's tantamount to separation from France, but not. We should separate from France and not from Cameroon, because you know the overarching problem in all of this is France heavy-handedness on Cameroon politics. Cameroon, again, as I still say, Cameroon is an autonomous territory under the control of France. If we name it, let France know that we know that our suffering is because of them. And how can in 92, do you think that is that 92 years old? You know, I mean, I know people who are 92 years old and strong. Age isn't a problem right here. And I always say, Biya did not just become, how would I use the right word? He did not just become who he is at this age of 92. Biya has always been like that. Because at times when I say, people say, oh, respect his age. I say, what am I respecting his age? It's like when he was 60, was he good? When he was 70 years old, was he any better? So I'm talking about somebody who is completely a zero. He knows nothing. All what he knows is, you know, being a bootlicker for France to preserve his little benefit. Excuse the expression, I'm sorry to use that, but he's a bootlicker.
Let me bring in Comrade Oliver and Dr. Ngwambe into this discussion. Comrade, Dr. Ngwambe, you hear the argument that it is possible to form an alliance with Francophones to fight for Ambazonia. Of course, again, I fundamentally disagree with that because there is no one Francophone out there who will want to see Ambazonia go because they live on us. It is our resources that are funding their economy. Do you see that possibility, Dr. Ngwambe? Or if he's right, let me know.
Comrade Chris, we've been there and we've done that. And my brother of Ambazonian descent, Mr. Ejaka, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We've been there, we've done that now. As a matter of fact, when you say that it's not the Ambazonians who started this this phase of the liberation struggle, I get what you're trying to say, but you know what? What can also be said is that you Federalists are to blame for why the Ambazonian struggle is going on. Because they're all, and the fact that La Republique du Cameroon brutalized you all and those of our brothers who were pursuing the Federalist line, that's why we're in this liberation struggle. So for you now to be so sympathetic to La Republique du Cameroon and to make excuses for them and all that type of stuff like that, it's not fair. It really isn't. It really isn't fair. And the thing that always boggles me with the Federalists is that, at least I even appreciate our brother who was on TV with you last week, Chris. What is his name, Professor?
Professor Ben Aki.
Yeah, Professor Ben Aki. At least I get respect for Professor Ben Aki. Where he talks say, if we don't get the freedom, he too will come chop him. You know, they denied the Ambazonian freedom quite outright. At least I get respect for it. But those of you who Federalists who make it seem as if it's possible to go and have this romance with La Republique du Cameroon, it doesn't exist. Next thing, when you say that you all were building a groundswell of action that was going to get the Francophones to do whatever, and it's us Ambazonians who've come and messed that up, if that is true, Mr. Ejaka, then the Francophones would have continued to do that work, even though you Anglophone Federalists are no longer on the picture. If Francophone Federalists truly believed in this Federalist agenda that you Anglophones keep pushing, they would be fighting this thing much harder than you, especially since they are the larger population in La Republique du Cameroon, and they could get that thing across the finish line without you Anglophones. But you all continue to cover for them. I really pray for the day that you Federalists, right, especially those of you of Ambazonian descent, you all will recognize and appreciate the fact that you are faster to get a federation between Ambazonian counties in the independent Ambazonia than you will be able to get a federation between us and La Republique du Cameroon. The sooner you all realize that and you join with us and let's work together and get this thing across the finish line, all of us will be much happier people when we're enjoying our country and we no longer have to share it with those idiots from La Republique du Cameroon. I yield. Thank you.
I may add something, if I may. Yes, right. My dear brother, Doctor. I'm sorry that I didn't get your name, but Dr. Ngwambe. Yeah, this is the issue, and I think where we miss the mark with the Ambazonian struggle is that I don't want to use the expression a plan B, but in every great revolutionary movement, and that's what I would have expected from Ambazonia, that they have a political offshot that they might not even agree with.
In which country? You mean the political party, I guess.
However we put it,
if I may ask, why have Federalists not formed one?
No, we are the political movement. That's why we are saying
So you're talking about a political party with which to maybe fight to have control of power. And I'm asking, if that is so good an idea, I would expect the Federalists to have formed a political party to try that angle of it.
No, there are parties in Cameroon that support federalism, but that are the worst enemies of Ambazonia. I'll take, for instance, if you say in the Northwest, now it's the CPDM that's controlling. Why? Because Ambazonian gave a passage against the SDF for the CPDM to control. But this is my point, because I can take, for instance, what happened with apartheid and all the other revolutionary movements. they would have that extremist wing that you could be. And that's why I always tell people, and I say this openly, I would rather sit on the table with Chris Ano than to sit on the table with Atanganji. From where I stand, because I know that from my ideological spectrum, I'm more skewed towards Ambazonian than I am towards the CPDN. I've made this crystal clear, and I said at one time, as a federalist, and we call federalists, we know that we are closer. If you are a true federalist, you will be closer to Ambazonian than to the CPDN. Because in all what Ambazonia is saying, there's a philosophical part of Ambazonia that intersects with my philosophical part, which is self-determination. We agree on that.
So now, if I may ask you this, if I may ask you this question, who do you think is in the majority? Is it Ambazonians who want a free and independent country, or Ambazonians who want a federal Cameroon?
In all honesty, let's get a referendum to settle that question. I mean, that I'm very sad.
So you mean, don't you think that is being dishonest, disingenuous to say we'll have to use a referendum to know which is the majority, Ambazonians for independence or Ambazonians for federation?
Oh no, among you Ambazonia, okay, because you don't you have not included me now in that count.
I'm just including all of us. I'm talking about the geopolitics.
The Northwest and the Southwest. Yeah, if you talk about the Northwest and the Southwest, and again, I'll take a scientific approach to this, and which I hope you agree with, is that let's have a referendum.
We agree on that.
Yes, let's have a referendum. That's why we supported Cardinal Tumi.
But the referendum that you are talking about is like you are talking about a referendum between independentists and federalists. The referendum we are prescribing here is a referendum between Ambazonia and La République du Cameroon.
No, let's have a referendum amongst ourselves. Northwest
and Southwest. We don't need that. Come on.
Why?
We don't need a referendum within ourselves. It's like talking to ourselves.
If we have a referendum with the other side, wouldn't we say that they drowned us? Wouldn't we say that
do you have any doubt that those who yearn for independence in Ambazonia, or call it Northwest and Southwest in your terminology, do you have any doubt they are in the overwhelming numbers?
They have a great number. A great number, a sizable number that should be taken in account.
All right.
And I think a referendum...
Let Oliver come in here with his take on this.
Yeah, there are quite a number of things that get mixed up. Let me start with the idea of forming a coalition with La République. One thing that I believe is very clear is that if Ambazonia started this war in 2016, 2017, and the La République people decided to rise to the occasion and say, okay, this is an opportunity for us to make a revolution and throw out a regime that has failed us, a regime that has brought us a lot of suffering, we will not be talking of Ambazonia war today. That is crystal clear. We will not be talking about it today. It would have ended if you just do that and Paul Biya was out, and then we will sit down and say, okay, probably we will be in a federal status. But that did not happen. Why? Because the people the vast majority of people of La République and Francophones are against Ambazonians. They are against Ambazonians.
They're against federalism
really,
too.
Yeah, and really, really deep inside them, they know that Ambazonians, by culture and right from the beginning, are better administrators, and they can do a lot better for the good of the whole country. They know that. And when
that's why they voted in 1992. That's why they voted for an Anglophone.
Let me just finish my point. They know that deep inside them. But the problem of superior complex is what France taught Francophones very well. They think that they are superior and that the Anglophones ought to be second-class citizens. That is the big problem. Now, when we're talking about the question of a referendum that Comrade Chris was talking with Mr. Echaka, when it comes to a referendum, the referendum will take place only for Southern Cameroonians. It is not between La Republique and Amazonia, because you come and ask a question. It comes down to we come to Amazonia and say and put the question: do you prefer federalism or full independence? That is the question you pose to that in that referendum. And when they answer to that, you see that the majority will be saying separation. They will be saying that they want autonomy, they want independence. Once that is done, that is what is supposed to determine where Ambazonian stands. And that should be able to determine based on all the other historical facts that I will not need to go into. Everybody knows that. They will say that, okay, these people really want to be on their own, so let them go. You cannot, you remember that 1972, May 1972, what happened? Ahishu used that trick by putting a referendum in the entire Cameroon, knowing that the Francophones had a vast majority. When they were asking the question, do you want to be in a unitary state or federalism? And where the vast majority voted to become a unitary state. And that's why we moved from the federal status to unitary state in the United Republic of Cameroon in May 1972. Because he knew that the majority were Francophones, they would vote that. Not only that, the second idea was that those ballots in Southern Cameroons were in French, mostly. So, and the choice was we, and people did not understand French. So, if you chose whichever you chose, was saying that you wanted a unitary state. And sorry, the question was not even. The question was only that: do you want a unitary state? Sorry, that was the question. It was not even between federalism and that. So that is why he was able to change from a federal state to a unitary state.
All right. Comrades, I would like us to hold it there. Let me take a quick break out, and when I get back, we will open the phone lines to hear from our listeners. So please stay put. Don't touch your remote. Don't go away. I'll be right back. Live, and thanks for staying put, our dear ladies and gentlemen. The phone line is open, and I will advise, if you want me to take your call, make sure you shut down the volume of your television set, focus on the phone, when your call comes through, the phone line is there on your screen. Go ahead and call. Let's know what is on your mind about number one, the return of Paul Biya and what lies ahead. Again, the phone line is open, and I look forward to hearing from those of you tune in. Those of you tune in. YouTube is doing a marvelous job with ABS these days. We have more than triple what is on Facebook with what is on YouTube all this time. I don't know. I found out that actually Facebook has blocked us in so many locations. I don't know why. We've tried to get that rectified, but Facebook will not unblock us. But that is what is going on. But you have the phone line there on your screen. You have a contribution you want to make. Please call that number and turn down the volume of your set before you call. Let me get back to my guests as we wait for your phone calls. Let me get back to Comrade Kennedy Ejacha. You listen to Dr. Ngwambe and Oliver Asai, their take on a referendum and a one and indivisible Cameroon. I am glad we both agree on the subject of a referendum. However, it appears your referendum is one within Ambazonians or Southern Cameroonians or Anglophones in your own terminology. Why do you not think that there should be a referendum between this side and La République du Cameroon?
Yeah, I mean, my greatest concern is now we have demographically, they outnumber those from the north and southwest. So you joining them and having a referendum with them included. The next thing will be...
No, I'm sorry, that's not what we're talking about. We are looking for a referendum where Ambazonians, Southern Cameroonians, all the Northwest and Southwest, all of this terminology. We're looking for a referendum where this geopolitical group has the right exclusively, that means just by themselves, to determine whether they want to remain with one an indivisible Cameroon or they want a country of their own. Or maybe they want a federation with Cameroon. This is what and since the question is on us to decide, they don't have any reason to vote. They cannot participate in the vote like in 1972.
Then we are all saying the same thing. We are all saying the same thing because that's what I think should be right, and that's why we were supporting Kerina Tumi when he came with a work group. But funnily enough, some part of Ambazonia became bedfellows with some other part of, the CPDM people. And notably, I would take, there's this guy who was mayor in Biya, who is of late.
Ekema Patrick.
I forgot his name.
Ekema Patrick.
Ekema Patrick. Yes, thank you. He swore over that it will be over his dead body and his death, but up to now we've not even be able to come together. But he swore that over his dead body that Anglophones will not meet. And you know who was in agreement with him? It's so many other Ambazonians that I saw, from Europe. They were saying, "Oh no, Cardinal Tumi, those Anglophones. There's no need for Anglophones to come together." And my question was like, Cardinal Tumi made it crystal clear. Let's have something that will be an all Anglophone conference where we go in, we sit together, all the opinions come in, those that even want the unitary state, those that want federalism, those that want separation. Let's come and have a common accord, such that when we leave, the whole world will know that there was a conclave of Anglophones from all shades of opinion, and that's why Ekema Patrick was against it. That's why Chiroma was against it. But people like this guy who is in Norway that is finally having his day in court, those were the guys who joined with Ekema Patrick and said no. And then Our question was, what then do we want? And Anglophones are suffering, and whatever we say, Ambazonians should take part of the responsibility. And I will say this to explain my point.
All right, hold on there. Hold on there. Let's get to the phone. Let's take this caller and then we get back to the discussion. Hello. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Where are you calling from, please?
I'm calling from Biya.
Okay, and what is your contribution?
Actually, like what you all have said, I think there should be an all Anglophone conference in which they can dialogue for this war to stop. Yeah, because we have to dialogue, and like one of the doctors said that like we have to include maybe some francophones which they are in support of this crisis.
If I may ask you, if Anglophones in your terminology should all come together and have a conversation among themselves and agree for a referendum, do you think that these same francophones you are talking about, you think they are bound to accept that?
Yeah, I think so.
What makes you think so?
Yeah, because as we all know, you know, the economic situation within this the country. Yeah, most of their resources are coming from these two regions. That's the northwest and southwest. Yeah, so it will be of beneficiary to them if a meeting like that is being held, and you'll see that when the country maybe will there'll be a liberation or freedom, that is the Anglophones are having a freedom. You see some of them will even come within the country and they'll be employed. Yeah, so I just think that that's the perspective of it.
Okay, thank you for the call. Thank you for the call. Let me turn back to Comrade Oliver out there. Give me your take on this idea of an all Anglophones in the terminology of one Cameroonese.
I was in Mount Mary in AAC one in 1993. I was in Mount Mary with all the Fonchas and the Monas giving the apologies and all of that. I was there. The Munzus were there. Anyamwe, Charles Taku. I was in that conference all through. And then after that, 94, we had the second one in Bamenda. So that was the modus operandi of Anglophones as it was at that time. And that's how we were trying to have some cohesion so that we could move together. The idea that Cardinal Tume was just a continuation of what had been going on before. So having that conference is very vital, and I think that is what can make us close ranks and regain unity again. The only problem is, will that conference be allowed to be held in Cameroon? Will La Republic allow it? That is what I doubt. And even if it were to be held,
can it take place in the diaspora? And I will pose this question to all of you, including Kennedy. Can it take place in the diaspora? Because you have people like the Monzo. The Monzos are in the diaspora. The Professor Ben Aiki, they are in the diaspora. The Kennedys are in the diaspora. Why can't they take up that initiative? If you invite me, I will come.
Chris, you know, the funny thing behind all of this stuff is that we, like, as Comrade Oliver correctly pointed out, we've had all this AAC1, AAC2, and AAC3, I think, right? And there was already a prescription in all of those AACs about, if La Republic does not do this, we're going to give them an excessively long rope. And once that excessively long rope comes to its end, we're doing this. We are now doing this. What do we want to go back and be talking about now?
That's a very good point. And I would like
No, Come on, hold on a second. Let me ask.
Let him
Let me
finish.
ask one additional question. Let me ask this additional question. Look. This is the situation that we're in. As Comrade Chris has correctly pointed out, you cannot trust La République du Cameroon. They are not a reliable partner for peace. Inside the fake federal constitution that was put in place, we were not even supposed to have this referendum. But here are some of the games that La République du Cameroon played in order to get that referendum in place. They passed an anti-subversion law, right? They got rid of multi-parties. So they ended up with a single party. Now running into the referendum, what was the rule? No one was allowed to campaign in support of the no vote of that referendum. If you campaigned in support of the no vote in that referendum of 1972, you were going to be locked up. A Bafut brother of ours was locked up during that time. Other people were locked up. There were even French Cameroonese who were locked up because they were against the dissolving of the federation. But guess what? Because the Francophone side has the propensity of violence and they have a military, they bully everybody. So now how do you, my brother Kennedy Ejaka, how in the world do you and the Federalists want us to go back and end up in the exact same situation with these La République du Cameroon people who are not people who are for peace? They're going to come with their brutality again. They're going to come with their manipulation again, and they'll get rid of the Federation. So what is the point of us continuing with them? They killed the Federalists who went and protested. They locked them up. That's why we're fighting. How do you all want us to go back and negotiate about let's just sorry these Francophones, they not be mean for Kiwi, so maybe we'll convince them. If the Francophones were really serious about their federation, they would be pushing it themselves, would be seeing the Francophone Federalist activists, more than you Anglophone Federalist activists, out there pushing this federation. And the last thing I want to add on is that instead of blaming us who are from Southern Cameroons for the fact that there's a CPDM majority in La République du Cameroon, my brother Kennedy, you should ask the Francophones in their territory why they continue to allow a CPDM majority in their side of the territory if they really want change in that country. If Francophones really want to change in their country, they would do what needs to be done in Francophone Cameroon to get CPDM out. Don't put that responsibility on us Anglophones. Don't put it on us because we're not enough in that country to affect that change. They're the ones who are the majority. Hold them responsible. Stop holding us Anglophones or Southern Cameroons, Amazonians responsible for work that Francophones are supposed to do to fix their country. We are working on fixing our own country. You need to get on board with the right side and stop being on the wrong side of history, my brother. I beg you. You get to understand this thing. Thank you.
Kennedy, your turn, please.
Yes, I would start by explaining to Dr. Ngwabe that, I understand his anger, I understand his frustration, and I share in it. And I can tell you that I've spent my whole lifetime fighting that same regime. I started fighting this regime at a very tender age. I was a candidate in Yaoundé. In Yaoundé in 2002, I was a candidate for the legislative and municipal election under the banner of the SDF. I was in my early 20s. I became organizing secretary of the SDF in Yaoundé 3, where it was like, sticking out your head. I had other options, but accepting the injustice of the regime is something that did not do well with me. So when I'm saying I'm not blaming any Anglophones or whatsoever, I'm saying to the Ambazonian the same thing that I said to US to one of to America. I think was the American had an ambassador. Her name was Garvey. I just forgot the first name. She did a town hall meeting when she was ambassador. She came in the US and organized a town hall meeting in Silver Spring, Maryland on the Cameroon issue. And I went bluntly to her because they were trying to explain that the Cameroonian people are so weak, the Cameroonian people are accommodating the regime. I told Ambassador Garvey that is an insult to the Cameroonian people that I know. I know the Cameroonian people. That's why when I talk about Francophone, I'm passionate about it. Because the Francophones would vote an Anglophone in a transparent election over another Francophone. I say it and I say again, the Francophones in a transparent election in Cameroon will vote an Anglophone over another Francophone. And they did that in 1992. And I told this woman, you are insulting the Cameroonian people by saying that they are weak. Because You, America, and the Western world, you are the ones supporting Paul Biya because you are giving Paul Biya weapons that they use against civilians. If you stop providing weapons to the regime in Yaoundé, they will not have the means to overcome the power of the people. And that's why I said there's power in number. We Anglophones, we have to regroup all the factions. I always ask my question, and that's where when I say I'm trying to be objective, why would Senator Commando of the SDF be killed and Senator Moon was not killed? I'm not advocating that anyone will be killed, but I'm asking the question, why would ADF capture Senator Mundi and release her, and that same ADF will kill Commando? Commando, whose public stance is that let's have self-determination. Mundi's public stance is that no, unitary state. So when you fight a fight, you have to choose your enemies and your friends. And when you're choosing your enemy, why should I be an enemy to an Ambazonian? When I'm already telling an Ambazonian, you and I agree on so many things, on 70%. But Ambazonians will even prefer a civilian person that does not even agree. I ask myself, when I say Amazonian, I say some Amazonian, especially these Amazonians that they are controlling that. So, because we understand the history, Dr. Ngwabe was very right. The referendum is a starting point of all of our crises because Aito violated the constitution that they agreed on when he violated Article 47 and passed a law in 1969 which gave him the right to call a referendum. That law he passed in June 1969, if you go back to the archive. But that law, when you take in the hierarchy of legal statutes, a law cannot be above the constitution. Aito used a law to convene a referendum that was prohibited by a constitution. So we know all those illegalities. Now, I thank my brother who was at Mary and in Baminda in 1993 and 1994. A lot of things were achieved from AAC1 and AAC2. Those who still continue to say that AAC1 and AAC2 was a failure because they have an understanding of the evolution that occurred in the history of the community of the Anglophone struggle in that 1990s. There was a of collaboration. That's why Frontier and Munadi could come and repent and tell us the true history. People start correcting themselves by understanding the true history. It was as a result of AAC1 and AAC2 that those that committed the error of the 1970 and 1960 repented. So that gave us a springboard for all of us to move on. Now, what did the government do? The government torpedoed the opportunity for us to have AAC3 because they had seen the momentum and the trend.
Which government are you talking about giving us the opportunity for AAC1 and AAC2? Remember that thing was forced upon them?
No, AAC1 and AAC2, we held it. Right. It was a force. We held
it. Was forced on the government to allow it to happen. They actually resisted it, but it was forced on them. It's not like they allowed it to. It's not like they allowed it to happen like any gathering.
No, you are right. You are right. That's why I say, when it comes to AAC3, we are trying to force it. But why is it not happening? It is not happening because some of us are conniving with the government to prevent us from meeting. But AAC1 and AAC2, it was almost like all Anglophone elites were in agreement.
But I have asked the question. I have asked you the question. Why can't you convene that meeting in the diaspora?
Let's all convene.
You have most of your leaders. You have most of your federalist leaders like the Munzos, the Ben Akis, yourself. You're all in the diaspora. Why can't you convene that in the diaspora?
No, we can. it cannot be us. I mean, when you say you people, it means you are extricating yourself. I'm saying let's all work together, including you, Mr. Chris Arnold, including Dr. Ngwabe, including my brother, I think brother Eric. I mean, everybody there. Let's all come together. Okay, let's convene something in a diaspora. When we convene in a diaspora, we have that meeting. It will send a signal back to Cameroon that, okay, this is what the diaspora is thinking. We can start with a unitary force at the level of the diaspora.
If I may,
But
if I may ask you a rhetorical question, what do you think we will come up with in the meeting with independentists and federalists? What, in your opinion, do you think we will come up with?
no, I would say let's remove labels right now. If we are saying we are meeting, let's meet as people from Southern Cameroon and we remove every other label. Because
Yeah, but
it's
that
when we
doesn't still negate the fact that you have two different camps within that,
we're gonna
independentists
have many
and
camps.
federalists.
But
If I
we are
can
going
say
to have
something
many
on that,
camps.
yeah.
We will have many camps, but we shall resolve
All
on
right,
something.
Oliver, please, let's hear your thought on this.
Yes, the reason why I thought that we could have an AAC3, whether it is in Cameroon or the diaspora, is more safe in the diaspora because and most of the leaders are here anyway. The reason is not under the same structure as the AAC1 and the AAC2, like Dr. Mwambe was saying. We have progressed a lot from there because we said when we meet in the A1 and 2, we said if they don't give us, we are looking for a federation. If that does not happen, then we're going to move to the next step, and we are in that step right now. So the idea of having an AAC3 is going to help us eliminate all these other organizations that are not accepting to come together to have a conversation. So if instead of calling, if the Chris Anu calls a meeting, some other organization, no, I'm not going there. If Ayaba calls, same thing, and whoever. So if we just leave that and say, okay, let's have our Anglophone conference now, just that one, and plan it, we're going to have pretty much all the people that matter show up there. And this is what is going to happen. When that happens, it now gives us a clearer way to do a referendum because we have the independencies, we have the unitaries, we have the federalists, all of those three different ideas. Now, if we do that and hold a referendum, what happens? The referendum will now tell us, okay, the majority of Anglophones, call it Ambazonia or Southern Cameroons or Northern South, the majority have now accepted that we want an independence, or the majority has accepted that we want federation. So that kind of framework can be something can bring some unity amongst us. And because why this war is dragging as much as it is the disunity amongst us. Imagine what was happening up to 2018. Everybody was together. There was a lot of force. But once we started, the La Republique infiltrated, and people started separating, forming camps, groups, and so on. That has been our problem. I remember that the Republic would say when we say, okay, we want to sit at the table and negotiate, they say, who are we going to talk to? Even because there are so many other organizations, everybody posting as a leader. And that's why I think that's the framework under which I think all Anglophone conference can happen.
I think there's a problem there, though, because that still doesn't negate the fact that you have you have federalists and independentists gathering on that table, and the question becomes, if you are talking in terms of Cameroon wondering who to approach, so the question becomes, does he approach the federalists or the independentists? But I saw Dr. Ngwambe wanted to say something. Go on, please.
So, yeah, Comrade Chris, this is what I want to say. My brothers and sisters on this panel and those Ambazonians watching us, if you bring the Federalists and the Independentists together to have an AAC3, and it comes out that the Federalists prevail, Ambazonian independentists are not going to support that. If we come out into a situation where it's the independentists that prevail, the Federalists are not going to line up, because it is more easier and it's more comfortable for the Federalists to go back to that position and say, we support federalism, because they know very well it keeps them from being targeted by La Republique du Cameroon. And you guys just keep playing this game rigmaroling and positioning yourselves as if you all are the more what is the more moderate of the Ambazonians, and that's not fair. So it's not going to work. When you listen to our brother Kennedy talk, he has spoken very well, and he has shown that he understands that La République du Cameroun is not a reliable partner for peace and even accountable governance. You've already explained it. So why do we really believe we're going to go into a setup where we're going to establish a federation, and that federation is going to be in place ad infinitum? It's not going to work that way. I know my brother Oliver has pointed out this situation of, if we go there and we have all this discussion and everything, is going to make it easier for La République du Cameroun to decide who they can talk to. And I don't think that's even true, because look at even other negotiation processes that have taken place. When the international community wants to come in and make sure that the resolution takes place, those of you who are the pro-independentists, they force you all to figure out how to work things and collaborate on the negotiation table to get you to your comprehensive peace agreement, and you have your transition period, you include your referendum, and then you end up with the situation based on that referendum that comes out. So the fact that maybe some of the independentists are not 100% lockstep together in collaboration, but when it actually comes to negotiation, we will be forced to collaborate, number one. Number two, we are already working on that. There are Ambazonian institutions that are behind the scenes who are collaborating, and they're all on the same page with regards to speaking with one voice when it comes time to entertaining any negotiations or any discussions in the first place. So this point about mixing federalists with Ambazonians, it's really a moot point, because at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is that if either one of us prevails in that conference, we're not going to support. One side is not going to support the other. So to me, it's like a huge waste of time.
All right,
I think
let's get back to the phones first before we get to the discussion. Hello.
Yeah, hello, this is Oben calling from Maryland.
Thanks for calling, sir. What is on your mind?
Yeah, I'm just watching ABS right now, and they're talking about the president return to Cameroon. I am looking at the pictures. I think there is a scam, because when you look at Chantal Biya is not like that. Chantal Biya is making slim calls. And the second point is that there is not President Biya. There's an old video. So they changed the video. They changed it. And all the time when President Biya is back in Cameroon, he always make a speech. But where's the speech? And I heard the journalist was saying that he is going to greet the people. Where are the people that he was greeting them? Nothing. I watched the video very well. And I heard the journalist was saying that, you're going to see President Biya going to be greeting people. I watched it. Where is it? Even when he went to the seminar, when they were asking him, he was saying that, are there important people here? It was very old. So look at the picture. It's a scam. It's a scam. It's a scam. I have not seen him. I have not seen him. Nothing. I saw the plane. Yes, the plane came. But where is he? He's in the scam. Look at President Biya's wife. He's very fat and very young. It's a lie. It's a scam. Biya is not there. Look at it. Okay, look at Biya. Look at the wife. Is that how Biya's wife is? No, bro. It's a scam. It's a scam.
But don't you see that they are actually coming out against of the presidential wing of the airport? And do you mean to say the image? Do you mean to say the image we all see here isn't Chantal? Isn't that of Chantal Biya too?
No, she is Chantal Biya, but Chantal Biya is not fat like this again. This is an old video. Chantal Biya right now is very thin, very small. He's doing slim course. He's not fat again.
I think a comrade Hole on there. You may have a point here. I'm saying this to our panel here. Comrades, this video was presented to us. We saw the plane running on the runway. Now the video is cut. We did not see where Biya come down the staircase of the plane. We only suddenly see him. We don't even see where the door of the executive wing there is open for him to walk out. We did not see that. We only suddenly, I mean, this is CRTV's video we are watching here, so nobody, it's not our video that somebody can say it is edited. This is CRTV's video. CRTV does not show Paul Biya alighting from the flight. So you may be you may be having a point there. You may be having a point there. Nobody sees Biya coming out of that plane. Nobody sees Biya coming out of the executive wing of that airport. The only moment we see Biya is when he walks towards Ferdinand Ngongo, shaking his hand, and he stood there for a few minutes talking with him. It is very possible it could be a manipulation because we don't know who came out of that plane.
Communicate. That's what I'm telling you. That is a scam. Look at Biya's wife. The butt is very big. The buttocks is very big right now. Very big. When you look at the new picture.
But then the question is, how about those who were gathered there? Assumably they saw Biya, right?
No, but see, if
Mr. Chris, I am telling you the truth, it's a scam. When you look at the Biya's board, the wife, the buttocks is very big right now. Go to our old picture, new pictures.
No, but the question that I may have, the question that I may have to my brother is, when
not a day that Biya comes to Cameroon without addressing the journalists. There is not a day. Every time that Biya come back from Cameroon, he addresses the journalists.
No.
Where are the journalists?
No, it's not true.
Show me where are the journalists right now.
You are very right too, because I know there are dozens of reporters.
In Cameroon.
Normally he will walk over, especially in this situation, he will walk and talk to somebody designated from CRTV to answer one or two questions.
Yeah. Okay, where are the other media? It's only journalists, only CRTV, because they told them what to say. The government told them what to say.
Well, let's wait and see if the people in the public actually took some photos. We will see them on the social media, isn't it?
Yeah, look at the wife. Look at the wife. Go to the new pictures of Chantal Biya. Chantal Biya is very thin right now. I don't know if she's sick or because, bro. It's true. I'm telling you, it's a scam. It's a scam.
All right. If it is a scam, we will come to find out.
You see what? When they were going to the airport, they said Biya is back. You see what? When they arrived at the airport, they changed the picture. They changed it. It's a manipulation. They changed it. This is not Biya. This is the old picture. It's the old picture, bro.
Well, time will tell. I will not completely disagree with you, being that again.
Yeah, and
we did not see when he alighted out of the plane. We did not see where he walked out of that presidential wing of the airport. Nobody saw that. So maybe you may be right. But thanks for the call.
Okay, one second, please.
Okay.
And about the referendum, I dreamed this and I saw the referendum taking place. So for me, referendum is very important.
All right.
Yeah, the referendum is very important for me.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thanks for the call.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Okay, I give each of you 1 minute to respond to this and we'll call it a night.
Okay.
Kennedy, you wanted to say something. I'll start with you.
Yeah, so actually, I don't know the last time that the last caller saw Chantal Biya, but I would think that the last time that we saw her is 45 days ago. And a woman's, appearance and everything can change very much within that. I'm not going to be the devil's advocate. Things can happen, but we cannot, those are subjective criteria that we're trying to use. And secondly, the reason why I don't like to project myself in all of this conspiracy theory, because it becomes a waste of time to us. It's like, at this point, it doesn't even make a difference to us whether Biya is alive or not, when we have a system that is holding us down and that is operating. So let's Let's focus on bringing down this system, and Biya does not have to die
Well, if you
for
know
us
whether he is
to be on
alive or
top.
not, it gives you the direction on how to take to bringing down the system, as you say. I am really having a second thought going by this guy's statement, because I observed this video when he landed at the airport, when they drove to a 2D. At the airport, you don't see him coming out of the plane. At the airport, you don't see him walking out from the presidential wing where he started greeting people. The video is cut, and this is supposed to be live on CRTV, where the plane make the rounds on the tarmac, stop, the door is open, he stands on top of the staircase, wave the people, step down. We don't see that. You don't see when he is walking out of the cabin, the executive cabin, you don't see that. The video got to the presidency, they ended the transmission. You don't see him coming out, walking into the presidential palace. Nobody sees that. So there may be something here that we are still left to figure out. But Comrade Oliver, your point, your last point.
Yeah, actually, just to broach the idea of the AAC3 is actually to bring people together and go into a referendum. That was the whole idea for me. Concerning the idea of Paul Biya, I just saw that thing. I've been doubting. I do not really believe Paul Biya is back, and because even when you watch that video, Paul Biya cannot be that healthy on as of now on that video. He looks healthier than that was probably like a year or more ago. So, and like the other elements that you talk about, being walking down the staircase of the plane and onto the red carpet like he usually does, that did not happen. So
We
there are so
didn't see the red carpet. No red carpet.
yes, there are so many things pointing that it could be that this is the regime has done this, has photoshopped this, and done it so that they could buy time and try to not keep people sleeping, and then not put someone in power before we realize, and that could be a very good possibility. I do not really think Paul Biya is in that alive and well, and that he was. That is a current picture of today. I mean, video of today. That's my take on that. I doubt it so much.
Comrades, let's get to the phone first one more time before I get to Dr. Ngwambe. Hello.
Yeah, hello, sir.
Hello, sir. Can you raise your voice a little bit? I can barely hear you.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yes, go on, sir.
Hello?
I hear you. Go on. Where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm calling from Biya.
Okay. What is your contribution?
Yeah, I want to talk about.
I cannot hear you, sir. Your voice is very low. Hello.
Looking at that video, I went through Chantal Biya's.
Can you raise your voice?
Posted 21st of September, and if you look at her statue on that 21st of September, she is slim. But if you look at this video that they uploaded, that they are back, she is fat. So it clearly shows that that video is a manipulation and is come true.
That is very true. There is a manipulation on this video because she looks fat and shorter. The same thing if you look at Ngo, they're not all having the same contortions.
Yes. Because even on this video, the president looks more younger than...
Correct. Okay. But then have you guys, you are on ground zero, have you guys heard from anyone who was there at that airport?
The thing is, I don't know of anyone because there was no private media at the airport.
There was no private media at the airport?
No. It was only CRTV that was represented.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay, I will send you a picture. I will send you the recent picture of the first lady.
That was taken. It was taken. It was taken when?
On 21st of this September that just passed.
Okay, please do.
All right.
All right. Thank you for the call. Hello. 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 All right, we lost that caller. Comrade, this thing is beginning to make a lot of sense to me. That something may not be looking right there, and I think after this, we'll have to get to work to find out whether these images are for real. Dr. Ngwambe, go on, please.
Yeah, Comrade Chris. First of all, let me thank you, Comrade Chris, and the ABS production team, for today's program. And I also want to say that it was an honor to be on the panel with my Ambazonian brother, Comrade Oliver, and Mr. Kennedy Ejaka. Thank you, gentlemen, for today's show, and thank you, Ambazonians back home, for joining to watch us and have this conversation with us. Our African American sister and poet Maya Angelou said that when someone shows you who they are, you need to believe them. La Republique du Cameroon has shown us Ambazonians who they are. And I know that I believe them, that they don't like us. And I know all my fellow Ambazonians, even the Federalists, know that La Republique du Cameroon does not like us, and that it would be better if we were in a sovereign, independent nation of our own. To the Cameroonese, La Republique du Cameroon has shown you who they are. They lie to you. They manipulate your television. They're keeping a 91 going on 92-year-old dictator to be ruling you and embarrassing you on the international stage, which is showing that you all are just so incompetent that you cannot even remove someone who is about to be 92 years old from office, and that you want him to rule again for another 7 years until he's 99. Shame to you. How do you say? Shame à vous les Camerounais. Tout. All of you should be very ashamed of yourself for this nonsense that you allowed to happen to you. The fact that people don't trust these CRTV images, it just goes to show that there's proof that Ambazonians and even French Cameroonais do not trust La Republique du Cameroon as being reliable partners for peace or reliable partners for governance. These people continue to show us who they are. I wish more of us would listen. The Ambazonians are already listening, we already believe, and we already know who these people are. The rest of you who are still sitting on the fence and putting your head in the ground, and you want to believe in a better La Republique du Cameroon, like little children believe in Santa Claus, when we all know Santa Claus isn't real. You all need to get with the program and get on the right side of history. Let us Ambazonians join together and complete this restoration journey and have our country that is independent. Federalists, get on board. La Republique du Cameroon, let's rise up and get rid of your dictator. God bless the people of Amazonia. Good night.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for being part of the show today. Let us fold our hands, wait and see if it is for real that indeed that was the real Paul Biya that we saw. Again, I am really developing strong doubts as to those images going by the last but one phone call we just heard there. Something is not right. I really expected to see Paul Biya walking down the staircase from that. They show us the plane arriving, right? We did not see Paul Biya. And also observe this. All the images I have seen appearing on the social media are images, screenshots of CRTV. I don't know whether you guys observe this. All the images I have seen on the social media are screenshots of CRTV. Now imagine the population we saw at the airport. They go there with their cell phones. Somebody would have taken something and put on the social media privately. And again, if it is true that the private media wasn't there, why was it so? Something is fishy here. We will find out probably in the next few days. All right, whatever the case, thank you so very much for being part of the show. We will continue this discussion in the next appearance. All of you have a great night, sir.
Thank you, Comrade Chris.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, having said that, I think we'll call it a night here. We'll call it a night here. Before I do that, let me get, I guess, this caller who is calling in from Cameroon. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, hi. Is that Chris?
This is Chris. Where are you calling from?
It's Metro Mola Singer.
Oh, Metro, good to hear your voice, sir. You are still live.
Yeah, what I want to say, it's simple. Anglophones are not a political party. We should stop thinking that everybody can think the same. It doesn't happen anywhere in the world, even among our families. It doesn't. The way you do things, the reason we have political parties is because you create a political party and you bring people who have similar or the same ideology. We keep on repeating the same mistake. In 1961, we went and joined AIJO. Everybody must think the same. We are where we are. SDF came again. No other political party. They kill Alaji Tita Fomukon, attack Alaji Tita Fomukon because he created a political party. We have a problem as Anglophones because we always think everybody must think the same. Yes, it is true that we might have something that we have in common, but you have to look for the people that we all agree to have that common ideology. There is nowhere on earth you cannot say English people must do this. It doesn't work that way. Scotland have got Scottish National Party, you have Labour Party, you have Conservative, you have Green parties, but the party that have the majority, they run it. The same in Northern Ireland. I feel so disappointed that we Anglophones, we keep on thinking that all Anglophones, they must think the same. I know. I can see
Metro, I'm sorry you called when I was rounding up the show. Probably we will have this discussion on another day, but just to quickly respond to you, I don't think we are saying that every Ambazonian should think and act the same. That is why I don't have an issue with federalists if they try to if they are actually fighting for it. The problem is that they just say it with a mouth and they do nothing about it.
I never mentioned the word federalist. I just say
I understand.
I understand. Do their own things. They should do what they do positively and go ahead.
Correct.
If it yields fruit, that is
correct.
Fruit. That's what I'm saying.
If independentists want a more democratic Cameroon, let them do it. Let's see. If federalists want a federation, let them fight for it. Let's see. Separatists or independentists are fighting for freedom and everybody sees it. So, but listen, we're going to have this discussion on another day because I was rounding up here. Thanks for the call.
Okay, you're welcome. Take care.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call it a night at this. I will thank you for tuning in. I look forward to coming back here perhaps on Wednesday. Good night, all of you.